Fish Foundation team, and that is Edwin. Edwin, or aka Dirty Miner, has been doing part-time community work for us for quite some time, so he should be a very, very familiar face for all of you on Discord. And now he has officially joined us full-time. So what that entails is he'll be creating a lot more YouTube content for us, tutorials, how to install things, how to run things, etc. And he's started doing that already. So for instance, one of our biggest launches that happened last week, or that we announced last week, was Multisig, and he created a really great video walking through how to create a Multisig account. And he'll be doing a lot more videos like that so that people can really understand how to use Ironfish, especially some of those advanced, more advanced features. Cool. I did see a question already about the algo change. We will address that because we actually have an entire section that is talking about the hard fork. So I'm actually going to talk about that next. So the biggest thing that happened since our last Discord monthly update is obviously the hard fork one for Ironfish, which happened on April 2nd, early morning for us, April 2nd. As you know, the hard fork was really around switching out the hashing algorithm for Blake 3, or from Blake 3 to Fish Hash, which is a memory hard algorithm, kind of inspired by ETH. So the question in the audience is, why did we do that? What was the primary reason behind the algo change? And there's actually a lot of really great YouTubers, Hobbyist Miner being one of them, Red Fox Crypto, another one, and I'll reference those videos later, that actually have done a really great job with a deep dive as to why we did this. The FIP3, which kind of explains the algorithm also, which I'll post here in a moment, also I think does a really great job explaining the rationale behind that decision. But to kind of answer your question here, when we launched, so Blake 3 is a not a memory hard algorithm. It's, CPU friendly, GPU friendly. It's a really fast hashing algorithm. And so what people started seeing pretty early on in Ironfish's days is that people started doing specialized hardware to mine Ironfish. So very quickly we realized that there are FPGAs on the network, and GPU miners were not being as performant or as efficient in comparison to some of the other hardwares that were out there. So we did do a community vote in terms of, should we keep Blake 3 or should we switch to a mining algorithm that is more GPU friendly? And the vote came in to do the algo switch to Fish Hash, which is GPU friendly, memory hard, etc. And so we did that. So that is basically what Fish Hash is all about. Since then, I think there are two other projects that have actually taken on Fish Hash, which is really interesting to see. One of them being, I think, Carlson Network, which is a fork of Caspa, if I'm not mistaken. And I think there's also an Ironfish copycat project called Elysius, if I'm not mistaken, that I think they've taken Fish Hash as well. So it's kind of interesting to see greater adoption of Fish Hash in other projects. So people do kind of agree with that rationale as well. But in terms of the hard fork itself, so just some of the stats. So we launched, or when the hard fork happened, when we hit that block, it took roughly 9 hours for the network to stabilize, which actually was ahead of schedule. I think we kind of have been telling community or ecosystem partners to expect 24 to 48 hours, and it stabilized in roughly 9. So that was really great to see. We had 2.5/3 mining softwares that were kind of available on April 2nd. For Gale Miner, SRB Miner, and then Lola Miner came in quickly after to support Fish Hash. All the mining pools that we are aware of did support the change. All exchanges also supported the hard fork, which was great. The only partner that did not make the upgrade in time but have upgraded since then was Fox Wallet. So Fox Wallet is the mobile wallet that a lot of people use to hold their iron. On April 2nd, they were not ready, and so there was some confusion from the community of like, oh, my wallet isn't working, etc. They have since upgraded, so if you do still experience any issue with Fox Wallet, please let us know and we'll escalate it to them. But as far as we know, that issue has been fixed. And then in terms of the coverage of the hard fork, there was a ton of YouTube coverage, which I thought was really great to see. So Vosk was a YouTube channel that covered it, as well as Hobbyist Miner, Red Fox Crypto, Son of a Tech, Seps FinTech, Serpent X Tech, Rabbit Mining, We had a Spanish YouTuber called Crypto Scone Super that covered it. Ovalboard Tech also covered it in the live stream. So there was actually like a really a great coverage, especially of people talking about it. It obviously is, not every day that you see an L1 change their hashing algorithm, especially to be more GPU friendly. So it did create a lot of conversation. Most of it was positive. Actually, all of it I think was positive, which is really great to see as well. And yeah, I mean, in terms of like, is it achieving the goals that we want? I think so far, yes. So number of miners that we're seeing is going up. We obviously intended this to be GPU friendly, and so far there's only GPU miners on the network, so that is achieving that goal. So far, in terms of that, this being our first hard fork, this was a great lesson for us because now we have a great playbook for how to do a hard fork, who to contact, who to ping to make sure they upgrade in time, what the right protocol is, etc. So that's really great. This hard fork I would deem a huge success because again, it was a major hard fork, very much a breaking change, and everything went smoothly and actually ahead of schedule. I think if we were to do it next time, we do have some learnings of how to make it even go smoother. So that's great because, I know hard forks are painful and not necessarily painful, maybe I shouldn't say that, but they do require a lot of overhead and a lot of work. But I do want to make sure that the community is comfortable doing hard forks because that is really how we're going to push Ironfish forward and do those changes that we couldn't otherwise do with soft forks. So if you have any questions about the hard fork, how it went, the retrospective around it, etc., please reach out. And then we'll go ahead and move on to our next section, which is talking about some of the engineering efforts that have been released or that have already happened that the IF Labs wants to talk about. First being the Multisig project, which was, I believe, it's now going on 6-month project that is kind of encompassing most of the engineering team for IF Labs. And Rohan is going to be talking about the Multisig effort that has been launched already. And then later on, we'll talk about some of the extensions for Multisig as well.
Sorry, I was muted. Thanks, Elena. So I'm here to talk for a few seconds about the Multisig project. So this is a project that we've talked about a couple of times in previous Discord updates. But essentially, all the Ironfish transactions for the past couple of months worked with a single signature that was produced by your wallet. And now we've introduced Multisig accounts, which allow you to have threshold signatures. So for example, you can have 10 people get into a group and have 7 out of those 10 people split a signature, create a threshold signature, and authorize a transaction that can be submitted onto the network. And there's a lot of great benefits for this, especially for people who are a part of exchanges or DAOs who want more security around their funds, even bridge operators. So we've released the first version of this project, and there's a blog post on the website if you want to learn more. The first version works off this scheme called Trusted Dealer, and this is a centralized authority who takes the initial key and then splits it up and gives it to several people. And we have an exciting update to extend this project, which will come in just a couple of minutes. But next, I will pass it on to, let me see who's next. Rahul, who's going to talk about some updates in the NodeApp.
Thanks, Rohan. Happy Friday, everyone. So for the NodeApp, we have shipped a few improvements. The first one is that you can now switch networks in the NodeApp. So you can switch between mainnet and testnet. And so this, we did it in hopes that, when new users come on board, they can try out testnet, without needing to get, mainnet funds. And so hoping to get new users using our products faster. Another thing that we also did was improve the error handling in the NodeApp. So in the case that something does go wrong, you have the option now. There'll be a pop-up on the screen that shows you reset or restart the NodeApp. We will continue working towards making sure that there are no bugs, but we have made significant improvements with error handling. So just to note that when you reset the NodeApp, it does not erase your wallet. It basically like you re-download the blockchain when you do that, and yeah, just clarifying that, and then it's just good practice to back up your keys, whether it's like with your NodeApp or your CLI in general. So just putting that out there as well. Next, we're going to talk about the upcoming improvements we're adding to our products. And first, we're going to start with Multisig DKG, and I'll pass it on to Hugh for that.
Thanks. So as Rohan mentioned a moment ago, we're working on an additional feature for Multisig. The existing implementation of Multisig, the way that Multisig accounts are created is known as trusted dealer key generation. So as Rohan mentioned, that involves taking a single existing key and splitting it into shares, which are then distributed to the different participants in the Multisig group. One drawback of this is that it requires that trusted dealer or trusted party to split the key. So for a moment, they'll hold the entire authorizing key in memory while that split occurs. So that trust and that holding the entire key in memory may not be appropriate for all applications of Multisig. So we're working on a different key generation protocol, distributed key generation. And then distributed key generation, it kind of works in the reverse of how trusted dealer does, where each participant starts with a key, and then the group key is derived by combining the key shares that each participant already has. So at the end, each participant has a new key share that is part of the group key, but no single party ever holds the full authorizing key. So it's more secure and can support a wider variety of applications. So we're working on that, and we'll have more updates on that soon. And now I'll kind of back over to Rahul for more updates.
Thanks, Hugh. So a bit of background on this improvement that we're shipping next. A few months ago, some of our users noted that their transactions were stuck. So they basically send a transaction, and then they'd get like some feedback saying, sending the transaction, but some of those transactions could take like a long time to send, and they weren't quite sure why that was happening. And so a bit of like technical background on this is that when you send a transaction, the more number of notes included in that transaction, the longer it takes to generate the proofs for it. So that's why it can basically increase the time of sending your transaction. So in order to like give better feedback, we've shipped a few things. One of them is we show you now the number of notes that are going to be involved in the transactions, notes and spends. And so that should give you an idea of like how long that transaction might take. The other thing that we also did was we shipped a new command called combine, where you can like basically combine a bunch of your notes into a single note, so that when you send your transaction, that note is selected, and then basically it should reduce the time that time it takes to send the transaction. And the feature that we're about to ship is basically a time estimate before sending every transaction. So when you send a transaction now, it will tell you like exactly how much time it's going to take to send this transaction. And so, if you see something like, oh, the transaction is going to take an hour, so maybe then you can use some of these other tools to figure out exactly why it's going to take that much time, combine the notes, and basically speed up the process, give you some power to speed up the process when sending a transaction. So that update will be shipped in the next release, and there will be more details coming for that. Yeah, that's it on this feature, and I will pass it on to Matt to talk about asset details.
Thanks, Raul. So for custom assets on Ironfish, anybody who's tried to mint or use a custom asset knows that we treated all of the assets with like 8 decimal places. This is not ideal for everybody, especially like a use case, for example, like an NFT, it shouldn't be divisible, so it shouldn't have any like decimal places. So what we're doing is adding the ability for asset owners to add their assets to a verified assets list, which also enables them to set the number of decimals that we will display it with in the applications. This doesn't actually change how the numbers are represented in underneath in the code. It's simply just how it's displayed to the user. So in the upcoming release, people might notice that custom assets are in what appear to be different denominations, but that's purely just the decimal display. So if you are a custom asset owner and you want to add your asset to the verified asset list to set the decimals, I'll put a link in the chat to open a PR to that list, and it will be updated as we ship this in the next release or 2. So yeah, onto that, I will pass it to Dan to talk about the mobile app.
Hey everybody. Yeah, so mobile app updates. We finished our proof of concept for the mobile app that we built to see if this was a viable project, and the answer is yes. So we validated our hypothesis there. We built out a React Native application that calls our Rust code base and can actually like submit transactions. So taking the learnings from that, and we started work on the like actual app that we're going to be releasing. It's still pretty early in that process, but some of the stuff that we've done is make updates to the wallet server for better ergonomics with this project. Design has been super hard at work, both improving our UI library and working on the individual pages that are going to be in this app. And then we've just been laying down like initial architecture since, yeah, we got to build that foundation that we're going to be building off. But yeah, one thing I'd mention is that the project is already like on GitHub and it's open source. It is mobile-wallet if you are interested to take a look, but because it's super early days, like it's just going to be a work in progress until we announce otherwise. But yeah, super exciting stuff. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Elena, who's going to be talking about just what's next in the pipeline.
All right, awesome. So what's next? So there is a bridge partner that we have not announced yet. That announcement is coming May 1st, and we are actually going to be doing a dedicated Twitter space on May 2nd to talk more about this bridge partner and what that means for Ironfish as well as other chains. So please stay tuned. As part of that bridge partnership or bridge integration, there has been engineering work that's already started by IF Labs. So I'm going to hold off talking more about it because it just hasn't been announced yet, but there is some effort that has already started by one of the engineers, so that's pretty exciting as well. So now I'm going to talk about some of the partnerships and grants that we have and kind of the status for those things. So one project that we did sponsor is ledger support by a company called Zondax. So obviously, as you know, ledger support is hardware wallet, so having support for Ironfish assets as well as Iron on Ledger would be pretty huge for people who are doing their own custody or cold storage, etc. So that project has started in roughly February, and they're pretty close to releasing their developer version. So what that means is with the developer version, a person would be able to use their Ledger and basically say like, I'm okay running the software even though it hasn't been verified by Ledger official. After that has been released and done, the next stage would be an audit of their implementation, and then the following stage would be going through the official Ledger approval process, so that would be available for all Ledger devices without the notification that it's developer only. So they already have an NPM package that needs to be integrated with our NodeApp, so that is work that IF Labs is going to be taking on next. And then in terms of the developer version itself, They are pretty close to releasing it, so their ETA is late April, early May. And so yeah, so that process is going pretty well. The only unknown in that entire process is how long it'll take for ledger support, or like the ledger approval process to take. But with the developer version, we can at least unblock some of the bridge partners that partnership grant that I'm going to kind of give a quick update on is ChainPort. So ChainPort is a bridge partner. So they are working on connecting Ironfish to 20 other chains, including things like Base Optimism and so on. And so with that, the result of that is people could actually transfer things like USDC or whatever meme coin you have on Base over to Ironfish and have those assets live in a completely private environment. So you can trade, swap, transfer, all those things completely privately on Ironfish. So they are working pretty hard towards their testnet release of that. I think some people have noted on Discord that they saw a tweet come out of their official Twitter account and then they deleted it. I'm not entirely sure what happened there, but I do know that they are working hard on making sure that there's no regression with their Ironfish implementation. And right now they're kind of testing their Ironfish implementation on staging. Once they are comfortable with the regression testing on staging, then they'll release a public testnet. So please stay tuned on that. Obviously, we'll let you know as soon as possible whether or not you can use it, when can you start testing it, etc. The other new grant that we approved is the Toucan Relay Bot. So this project actually came out of a hackathon. So it was the Circuit Breaker Ziki hackathon that was hosted by Global that we were a part of. And this project is super cool. Very excited about it. We'll publish kind of more about it later on. But it's got two components that I'm pretty excited about. One component is that this person figured out how to use a chatbot to interact with Ironfish. So you could transfer your Ironfish assets using a chatbot, which I thought was really cool because, you know, a lot of people compare crypto with AI of like, oh, like, is AI the new crypto, etc. And the pushback there is like, well, there's a lot more adoption for AI products than there are crypto products. And I think part of the reason is because AI products are just way more easier to use because you can just talk to the product. You can literally type out what you want from the AI to do, and it'll do it for you. So the reason why I'm excited about this project is because he was able to basically kind of recreate that for Ironfish, of you interacting with your Ironfish wallet using a chatbot. So you could actually transfer things using that chatbot. The other thing that he did, which again, this was part of the hackathon, and now he's working kind of like the thing, is that you are able to put spend limits on your chatbot that interacts with your Ironfish wallet. And he was able to do that with Noir, which is a DSL, domain-specific language, for Aztec, actually. So it uses something called Plonk, which is a zero-knowledge proof that is being verified by on Arbitrum. So it's kind of like a weird interactive system of your chatbot controls your assets on your Ironfish wallet that has spend proofs or spend limits on Arbitrum that's being powered by Noir. So pretty complex project, but the result is actually a really easy interface for a user to interact with, and they'll just be able to literally talk to a chatbot about where they want their funds to go. So that is a really cool project that is that we've approved the grant for. This person has already started working on it, and again, the very first proof of concept was already built for the hackathon. Cool, and I'm gonna pass it over to Kelly.
Hey everyone, I'm excited to tell you about some of the community events we have coming up, and I'm just going to go in order of appearance. So as they're coming up, so we are wrapping up week 8 of our ambassador program, and as we're rolling into weeks 9 through 12, Roman is updating all of our quests. So if you've been participating, we're going to have a whole bunch of new quests for you to do, which is super exciting. He's also going to be hosting poker coming up either this weekend or next week, so please stay tuned for that. And then don't forget to join Edwin for trivia on Tuesdays, which has also been a lot of fun, and just want to say congratulations to the winners so far, and thank you so much for everyone who's been participating. On April 15th, we have a meter box giveaway that is coming up. Skylar has designed a really cool design for the box, and we have some swag that's going to be given away as well. And so we will have some updates on that coming, so please stay tuned for the official announcement on that program. As people know, April 20th is our mainnet anniversary, which is super exciting. And so on the 19th, we are going to be hosting a party on Discord. We'll have some lightning talks. We'll have a roundtable panel. Jason and Elena will be on the panel. We'll also have some guests. So please stay tuned for that. We'd love to have you join us and hang out with a bunch of people who are talking about things that they're very passionate about in the Ironfish ecosystem and in privacy, etc. On April 24th, Elena is going to be on an AMA with Stealth at 8 a.m. Pacific time if you'd like to join her for that. And as she mentioned, we have an exciting Twitter space that will be on May 2nd. The time and details on that are TBD. So this is just, please save the date for all of these exciting things that we have coming up. We'd love to see you there and have you join us. We really appreciate you being part of the community. And I'll give it back to Elena to close us out.
All right, awesome. Well, I think this has been great. A lot of updates, a lot of progress on the bridge work as well as multisig, and the hard fork went really well. So this has all been great. As always, if you have any questions, please let us know. I'm just trying to see in the chat if there have been any questions, but don't think there are any direct questions, just comments. So thank you so much for joining, and I hope you all have a happy Friday. All right, thank you everyone. I'm gonna go ahead and close this out now.